allegations of corruption and of failing to bring about post-war reconciliation. The 69-year-old Mahinda Rajapaksa was first elected president in 2005. He's credited with ending the 26-year civil war after defeating the Tamil Tigers in 2009. He also changed the constitution in 2010 to allow him to run for an unprecedented third term. Well, Rajapaksa has been accused of turning the government into a family business, with two brothers holding the powerful defence and economic development posts. Another brother is the Speaker of Parliament, and a son is an MP. We can go live now to Charles Stratford, our correspondent, who joins us from the Election Commission in Colombo. And counting is still underway, Charles?
The counting has now stopped. We, as you say, are here at the Election Commission. The Election Commissioner has been meeting with the candidates, the presidential candidates. Everyone here, in fact, is except Mr. Rajapaksa. And we've had an announcement of the votes now that they've come in. Mr. Sirisena coming in with 51%. Mr. Rajapaksa with 46%. It was a bit of a media scrum here only a few minutes ago as Mr. Sirisena left the building. He wasn't speaking to the media. A wave to the cameras, but that was all that we saw. I think what's fascinating about this is how Mr. Sirisena has managed to pull this off. He galvanised such a large coalition involving so many different parties, taking with him the Tamil parties, the Muslim parties, and also members of people, groups that one wouldn't associate necessarily with the traditional, who had been traditionally, if you like, with Rajapaksa. And he managed to take so much of their votes. He also did very well in the countryside as well. There were doubts as to whether he was going to do well in rural areas. That's where Rajapaksa has traditionally done so well. But he managed to split that vote. He took the Tamil votes, he took the Muslim votes, and he managed to split the countryside and the traditional southern base, if you like, of the Sinhala population, the Sinhala voters that had always voted for Rajapaksa in the wake of him ending the war in 2009. A very different political environment today in Sri Lanka at the end of this historic election.
And do we know anything more about him as a man? What kind of man is he, Charles? Because he was only declared as a competitor in these elections very late in the day.
Well, he's not an English speaker. He's served as a politician, had a political career for about 40 years. He comes from a relatively humble background as a rice farming family. He studied in the Soviet Union, what was the Soviet Union. He is perceived, or has certainly tried to perceive himself as being someone who can take this country forward. He's very determined to break what he says is the autocratic rule of Rajapaksa and his family over the last near decade. This manifesto that he and the coalition have come together, this 100-day manifesto that looks at abolishing the executive presidential powers, these powers that gave Rajapaksa the ability to be able to choose members of the judiciary, to choose members of high members of the police force and the military. It seems as if certainly these challenges are big ones, and the question is whether he can keep this coalition together and to realise these challenges ahead about, ending what he, as I say, described as a soft dictatorship. Another way he described the Rajapaksa family in his campaign, a soft dictatorship here.
And, of course, one of the huge shadows looming over these elections and indeed over the entire country in recent years has been the disaffection remaining among the Tamils, the country's largest minority group. Interesting, then, that Mr. Sirisena has taken the Tamil vote, more Tamils turning out in the strongholds of Trincomalee and in Jaffna in support of Mr. Sirisena.
There was a massive turnout by the Tamil population in the north and northeast of the country. It was perhaps an indication of how desperate Mr. Rajapaksa was in trying to garner support from them when he visited the peninsula in recent days, and came up with some rather bizarre statements telling a rally in Jaffna that it's better to vote for the devil you know than the angel you don't know, and then saying, well, I'm the known devil, so vote for me. But yes, Sirisena captured those votes, and they represent around 15%, certainly of the population here. So you combine that with a heavy, around about 11% of the Muslim vote, you know, you're looking at 25% of the electorate already, the majority of those seemingly going with Sirisena.
Okay, so now, Charles, thank you very much indeed. Charles Stratford there, our correspondent reporting live from outside the Election Commission in Colombo. The French police have narrowed area just north of the capital. Prepare a suspected of killing.